Okay, so we just went through how Jacob deceived his father, and he's about to go on the run from Esau, his brother. And what an amazing thing we see that's going to be happening. Let's go back to Rebecca's last statement here. Rebecca said to Isaac, "I loathe my life because of the Hittite women. If Jacob marries one of the Hittite women like these, one of the women of the land, what good will my life be to me?" So, here in Genesis 28, we have Isaac being commanded, Jacob is about to be commanded by his father, Isaac, to go and get a wife from his own kinsman. Continuing. Then Isaac called Jacob and blessed him, and directed him, "You must not take a wife from the Canaanite women. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take as your wife from there one of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother." Okay. This is about to get really deep. Go and take as your wife from there one of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you may become a company of peoples. May He give the blessing of Abraham to you and to your offspring with you, that you may take possession of the land of your sojournings that God gave to Abraham. Thus Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Padan Aram, to Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob and Esau's mother. Now Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob, and sent him away to Padan Aram, to take a wife from there, and that as he blessed him, he directed him, "You must not take a wife from the Canaanite women." And Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother, and gone to Padan Aram. So when Esau saw that the Canaanite women did not please Isaac his father, Esau went to Ishmael, and took as his wife, besides the wives he had, Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth. Jacob left Beersheba and went toward Haran, and he came to a certain place and stayed there that night, because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of the place, he put it under his head, and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, there was a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it, and said, "I am the Lord, the God of Abraham your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie I will give to you and to your offspring. Your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south, and in you and your offspring shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Behold, I am with you, and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. Behold, I am with you, the Lord told him, and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. I want to repeat what was promised here. But you can read that. You can go to that and you can see the promises that God is making to Jacob, and this is a repeated succession of promise that God is going to bless Jacob and his offspring, and through his offspring, that is Jacob's child, God will bless all the peoples on the earth. That would include us. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. Verse 18 in chapter 28, Genesis. So early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up for a pillar, and poured oil on top of it. He called the name of that place Bethel. Bethel means house of God. But the name of the city was Luz at the first. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, If God will be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God, and this stone which I have set up for a pillar shall be God's house, and of all that you give me I will give a full tenth to you. End of chapter. I find this is crucial. This is crucial. Crucial things and promises going on, and I get where Jacob was in awe. In awe. Wouldn't you be in awe if this occurred? This man laid upon a rock, fell asleep, and he dreamed, and he saw a ladder reaching up to heaven, where the angels were ascending and descending on it. There's just so much packed in here. It's again God confirming what he said to Jacob's father and grandfather Abraham. So now we see the promise of the offspring coming through Jacob. Then Jacob went on his journey. Genesis chapter 29. Then Jacob went on his journey and came to the land of the people of the east. As he looked, he saw a well in the field, and behold, 3 flocks of sheep lying beside it, for out of that well the flocks were watered. The stone on the well's mouth was large, and when all the flocks were gathered there, the shepherds would roll the stone from the mouth of the well and water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place over the mouth of the well. Jacob said to them, "My brothers, where do you come from?" They said, "We are from Haran." He said to them, "Do you know Laban, the son of Nahor?" They said, "We know him." He said to them, "Is it well with him?" They said, "It is well. And see, Rachel his daughter is coming with the sheep." He said, "Behold, it is still high day. It is not time for the livestock to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go, pasture them." But they said, "We cannot until all the flocks are gathered together and the stone is rolled from the mouth of the well. Then we water the sheep." While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. Now as soon as Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban his mother's brother, Jacob came near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban his mother's brother. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and wept aloud. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's kinsman, and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. See all these things coming together here? Being pieced together? As soon as Laban heard the news about Jacob, his father's son, he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. Jacob told Laban all these things, and Laban said to him, Surely you are my bone and my flesh." And he stayed with him a month. Then Laban said to Jacob, "Because you are my kinsman, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what shall your wages be?" Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful in form and appearance. Jacob loved Rachel, and he said, "I will serve you 7 years for your younger daughter Rachel." Laban said, "It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to any other man. Stay with me." So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days, because of the love he had for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife, that I may go into her, for my time is completed." 7 years, boom. So Laban gathered together all the people of the place and made a feast. But in the evening he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob, and he went into her. Laban gave his female servant Zilpah to his daughter Leah to be her servant. Key things here. And in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And Jacob said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? Did I not serve you for Rachel? Why then have you deceived me?" Laban said, "It is not so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn." Laban. Whoa. "Complete the week of this one, and we will give you the other also in return for serving me another 7 years. Jacob did so and completed her week. That is the 7 years there, the time that he was to work for Rachel. He completed her week. Then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel to be his wife. Laban gave his female servant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel to be her servant. So Jacob went in to Rachel also, and he loved Rachel more than Leah, and served Laban for another 7 years. So now we're just going to pick this up, and we're going to look at basically what Jacob's family life is starting to become like now. He went to serve Rachel for 7 years, ended up getting Leah, her sister, was told to work another 7 years for Rachel, who he was originally working for, and he marries her as well. And each of them had servants. Okay? Zilpah was Leah's servant. Bilhah was Rachel's servant. When the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Starting to see some repeated thing happening here. And Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, because the Lord has looked upon my affliction, for now my husband will love me. And I'm going to just strike the notes on these names quickly. Reuben means sea, a son. So these names have meaning behind them, and that's a lot of what we're going to be reading, the meaning as well behind the names. And I just find that right in the notes. These are well-known things. So we also, I just want to mention that, look, Rachel is barren. Rachel's a barren. Now, you see this repeated thing. Sarah was barren. Rebecca was barren till God opened their wombs. And now Rachel is barren. Now, she conceived again, that is Leah, and bore a son, and said, because the Lord has heard that I am hated, he has given me this son also. Right before that, she said, because the Lord had looked upon my affliction, for now my husband will love me. Listen to her concern. That was in verse 32. Verse 33 says, she conceived again and bore a son, and said, because the Lord has heard that I am hated, he has given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. Simeon sounds like the Hebrew for herd. Herd. Hearing. Herd. And again she conceived and bore a son, and said, now this time my husband will be attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore his name was called Levi. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, this time I will praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah. Then she ceased bearing. Levi sounds like the Hebrew for attached, and Judah sounds like the Hebrew for praise. So now we have Jacob, Leah, Rachel, and now 4 sons from the Leah. We got that order going on there. When Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, she envied her sister. She said to Jacob, give me children, or I shall die. Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, am I in the place of God, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb. So Jacob and Rachel are upset. Rachel's upset that she's barren. So anyhow, the list goes on. Jacob, Rachel, Leah. He loved Rachel. It's very clear. Leah had 4 sons. Rachel is upset. Then she said, "Here is my servant Bilhah. Go into her so that she may give birth on my behalf, that even I may have children through her." So she gave him her servant Bilhah as a wife, and Jacob went into her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Therefore she called his name Dan. You can look up that meaning there. Remember, these names have meanings. Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, "With mighty wrestlings I have wrestled with my sister and have prevailed." So she called his name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had ceased bearing children, she took her servant Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Then Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son, and Leah said, "Good fortune has come." So she called his name Gad. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son, and Leah said, "Happy am I, for women have called me happy." So she called his name Asher. In the days of wheat harvest, Reuben went and found mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But she said to her, "Is it a small matter that you have taken away my husband? Would you take away my son's mandrakes also?" Rachel said, "Then he may lie with you tonight in exchange for your son's mandrakes." When Jacob came from the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must come in to me, for I have hired you with my son's mandrakes." So he lay with her that night, and God listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob a 5th son. Leah said, "God has given me my wages, because I gave my servant to my husband." So she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again, and bore Jacob a 6th son. Then Leah said, "God has endowed me with a good endowment. Now my husband will honor me, because I have borne him 6 sons." So she called his name Zebulun. Afterward she bore a daughter, and called her name Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel, and God listened to her and opened her womb. He remembers Rachel. God listened to her and opened her womb. She conceived and bore a son, and said, "God has taken away my reproach." And she called his name Joseph, saying, "May the Lord add to me another son." Joseph. So we're seeing all these children starting to be born to Jacob. Who are going to become the 12 tribes of Israel. I'm just going to put that in there so that our minds are prepared, so that we're prepared to see. As soon as Rachel had borne Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Send me away that I may go to my own home and country. Give me my wives and my children for whom I have served you, that I may go. For you know the service that I have given you." But Laban said to him, "If I have found favor in your sight, I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you." Name your wages, and I will give it. Jacob said to him, You yourself know how I have served you, and how your livestock has fared with me. For you had little before I came, and it has increased abundantly, and the Lord has blessed you wherever I turned. Jacob said, You should not give me anything. If you will do this for me, I will again pasture your flock and keep it. Let me pass through all your flock today, removing from it every speckled and spotted sheep and every black lamb, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and they shall be my wages. So my honesty will answer for me later, when you come to look into my wages with you. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and black among the lambs, if found with me, shall be counted stolen. Laban said, Good, let it be as you have said. But that day Laban removed the male goats that were striped and spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had white on it, and every lamb that was black, and put them in charge of his sons. And he set a distance of 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob pastured the rest of Laban's flock. Then Jacob took fresh sticks of poplar and almond and plane trees, and peeled white streaks in them. My light went out here. I wonder why. I know it'll be closing here soon. But let's see. Let's see if it'll come back on. If not, that's okay. So be it. Then Jacob took so now they're having issues with the flocks. Jacob is saying, these flocks I want as a wage, and Laban just takes the ones that Jacob requested and gives them over to his sons. Now Jacob does something that affects the sheep's color. And that's what we're going to read here. He takes some sticks and he puts it where they drink, and it changes their color. Okay? This is what he does, and this is what his plan is, according to... Okay. Continuing, Genesis 37, on forward. Then Jacob took fresh sticks of poplar and almond and plane trees, and peeled white streaks in them, exposing the white of the sticks. He set the sticks that he had peeled in front of the flocks in the troughs, that is, the watering places, where the flocks came to drink. And since they bred when they came to drink, the flocks bred in front of the sticks, and so the flocks brought forth striped, speckled, and spotted. Okay? And Jacob separated the lambs, and set the faces of the flocks toward the striped, and all the... And Jacob separated the lambs, and set the faces of the flocks toward the striped, and all the black in the flock of Laban. He put his own droves apart, and did not put them with Laban's flock. Whenever the stronger of the flock were breeding, Jacob would lay the sticks in the troughs before the eyes of the flock, and that they might breed among the sticks. But the feebler of the flock he would not lay them there. So the feebler would be Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. Thus the man increased greatly, and had large flocks, female servants and male servants, and camels and donkeys. This is an interesting passage. This is actually the end of that chapter. I just want to go back here where in Genesis 30, verse 40, Jacob separated the lambs and set the faces of the flocks toward the striped and all the black in the flock of Laban. So he's basically doing things that better breed for himself. He makes better breed for himself. That's what it is. And Laban was troubling him and was treating him really bad. And in this mistreatment, Jacob's response is this: whenever the stronger of the flock were breeding, Jacob would lay the sticks in the troughs before the eyes of the flock, that they might breed among the sticks. But for the feebler of the flock, he would not lay them there. Okay. Now, basically, it's clear that Jacob starts to breed up these spotted flocks. And we know God is watching over Jacob and what's going on here. Genesis 31. Now Jacob heard that the sons of Laban were saying, Jacob has taken all that was our father's, and from what was our father's, he has gained all this wealth. And Jacob saw that Laban did not regard him with favor as before. Then the Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your fathers and to your kindred, and I will be with you. I'd be like, praise, thank God. Thank God. That's where I'd be like, oh, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Get me out of this. That's what I'm sure Jacob was feeling that. So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah into the field where his flock was, and said to them, I see that your father does not regard me with favor as he did before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have served your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times. But God did not permit him to harm me. If he said, the spotted shall be your wages, then all the flock bore spotted. And if he said, the striped shall be your wages, then all the flock bore striped. Thus God has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me. In the breeding season of the flock I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream that the goats that mated with the flock were striped, spotted, and mottled. Then the angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob. And I said, here I am. And he said, lift up your eyes and see, all the goats that mate with the flock are striped, spotted, and mottled. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and made a vow to me. Now arise, go out from this land, and return to the land of your kindred. Then Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, is there any portion or inheritance left to us in our father's house? Are we not regarded by him as foreigners? For he has sold us, and he has indeed devoured our money. All the wealth that God has taken away from our father belongs to us and to our children. Now then, whatever God has said to you, do. So we see in this system, these flocks, the breeding of these flocks, Laban gets the blessed. He gets the ones, and there are plenty that are striped, spotted, mottled by God's hand. Now isn't that something? Isn't that something? Be careful not to not to mistreat God's people. So Jacob arose and sent his sons and his wives on camels. He drove away all his livestock, all his property that he had gained. The livestock in his possession that he had acquired in Padan Aram, to go to the land of Canaan to his father Isaac. So we see he's very blessed now. He's very blessed now. Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole her father's household gods, lowercase g. And Jacob tricked Laban the Aramean by not telling him that he intended to flee. He fled with all that he had, and arose and crossed the Euphrates, and set his face toward the hill country of Gilead. When it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob had fled, he took his kinsmen with him, and pursued him for 7 days, and followed close after him into the hill country of Gilead. But God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream by night, and said to him, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. God's like, Laban, don't. And Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country, and Laban with his kinsmen pitched tents in the hill country of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done, that you have tricked me and driven away my daughters like captives of the sword? Why did you flee secretly and trick me, and did not tell me, so that I might have sent you away with mirth and songs, with tambourine and lyre? And why did you not permit me to kiss my sons and my daughters farewell? Now you have done foolishly. It is in my power to do you harm." But the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." And now you have gone away because you longed greatly for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods? Jacob answered and said to Laban, "Because I was afraid, for I thought that you would take your daughters from me by force. Anyone with whom you find your gods shall not live. In the presence of our kinsmen, point out what I have that is yours, and take it." Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the tent of the 2 female servants, but he did not find them. And he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's. Now Rachel had taken the household gods, and put them in the camel's saddle, and sat on them. Laban felt all about the tent, but did not find them. And she said to her father, "Let not my lord be angry that I cannot rise before you, for the way of women is upon me." So he searched, but did not find the household gods. The way of women was upon her. Then Jacob became angry and berated Laban. Jacob said to Laban, "What is my offense? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? For you have felt through all my goods. What have you found of all your household goods? Set it there here before my kinsmen and your kinsmen, that they may decide between us 2. These 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried, and I have not eaten the rams of your flocks. What was torn by wild beasts I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it myself. From my hand you required it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. There I was by day, and the heat consumed me, and the cold by night, and my sleep fled from my eyes. These 20 years I have been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been on my side, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God saw my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked you last night." Then Laban answered and said to Jacob, "The daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, the flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do this day for these my daughters and for their children whom they have borne? Come now, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and I." So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar, and Jacob said to his kinsmen, "Gather stones." And they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jegar Sahadutha, but Jacob called it Galeed. Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me today." Therefore he named it Galeed. And Mizpah, for he said, "The Lord watch between you and me when we are out of one another's sight. If you oppress my daughters, or if you take wives besides my daughters, although no one is with us, see, God is witness between you and me." So they make a covenant. Laban makes a request. They're about to separate here. All of this. This is a hard living that Jacob is saying. I just been living some hard living, and you haven't tried to turn around and really respect or honor me for the things that I've done, and you know that the things that I've done has been a blessing to you. You have acquired and you've gained and you've become very great because I've been around you. That's what Jacob knew. He knew it was because of him that Laban was being blessed. Then Laban said to Jacob, "See this heap and the pillar, which I have set between you and me? This heap is a witness, and the pillar is a witness, that I will not pass over this heap to you, and you will not pass over this heap and this pillar to me, to do harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us." So Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac, and Jacob offered a sacrifice in the hill country, and called his kinsmen to eat bread. They ate bread, and spent the night in the hill country. Early in the morning Laban arose, and kissed his grandchildren and his daughters, and blessed them. Then Laban departed, and went and returned home. Now, there's a lot there that, well, there it is. I mean, there you have Jacob. A lot of Jacob's life. But a good 20 years of his life, we just read what he was doing and how God was with him and God blessed him. And it was a difficult life for him. It was a difficult life for him. And Laban kept messing and playing with him. But look, the God who sees, the God who knew, blessed Jacob. Blessed Jacob. He ended up increasing his flocks. He increased his life. He blessed his life. Now I know that how it was a way of doing things when he did what he did with the sticks and the flocks when they would drink by those sticks, and it created a different coat for these animals. And Jacob increased. Okay? God. Why? It's because God was looking over Jacob. Now, how this can be related is that in our struggles, or in, our personal rendezvous on this planet, on the earth, it's important for us to remember that even if we're being mistreated, or we're not at that moment seeing the blessings, remember that God sees. He sees when you're doing well, and that you're caring for people, and that you're looking out for people. He sees these things. So don't forget, He is the God that sees. He knows all things. And this kept Jacob encouraged in his management of Laban's goods. He was encouraged, I'm sure, to keep on going. And yet there came a time that Laban didn't know that God had told Jacob, it's time to go. Time to go back. Time to go back to the land that I just took you from. All to go back to that land, Canaan. The land of Canaan. I have a little map here for you. See? That's what Israel is now. Do you see? That's the land that he went back to, and this is the Mediterranean Sea there. Got the Dead Sea down there. Sea of Galilee up here. But now, well, continuing. It's nice to have those maps while you're going through all of these names of places, to have a remembrance of where these men have traveled and peoples. So I think I'm going to pause there. Just let us remember what this God is like. The God of promise. And you see He's fulfilling His promises to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob. Look at what He's been doing. Look at all that He's been doing. And there's some wild things that they've done. Jacob's breeding process, in his breeding of the flocks after Laban snuffed him. That process Jacob used. Well, God simply did for Jacob while he was in a land being mistreated. So, let's see what we got here. Yeah, it's a good time to pause it. You guys check that out. Enjoy. It got a bit wordy. For me there. But Hang on. Be blessed. Jacob's on his way back to Canaan, separated from Laban now, his mother's brother. And what an amazing God we have here. You never know, don't ever know what he's going to do sometimes, but you know it's going to be righteous. So, be blessed. Enjoy. And I hope that that's an encouraging read in the midst of challenges and seeing what God is like.